Dave Chappelle is in the news. He went on a bit of a roasting spree on the city of San Francisco. Yeah, he did. He basically said, "What the F happened to this place?" And, he's right for the most part, is he not?
I haven't been there to check up on San Francisco myself personally, but there are things that I see on TV that lead me to believe that San Francisco is having a rough one. So I saw CNN talking about all of the businesses that are leaving, and my estimation is it's probably the crime is the last straw, right? Like, it's hard to have a business in San Francisco. There are all kinds of things that go along with it. You have to play nice with the city. I'm sure taxes are high, et cetera, et cetera. And most of the retailers go in there knowing, all right, we're not going to be making an extremely large margin here, but it's fine.
Why do it then?
Pardon me?
Why do it then?
Well, because of all the people. The thing is, if you have enough volume, the margin doesn't matter as much.
Have you seen the videos on Twitter, like where everything in the Target is locked up?
That's exactly what I'm getting at. But the point is, like, that's what I'm saying. Like, they accept the fact that their margins are going to be tight. Yeah. And then when you throw on top of it the fact that they can't stop people from shoplifting, the crime tends to be the thing that breaks, the straw that breaks the camel's back. Because the crime, not only are you losing stuff, you're putting people that work there in danger. Yes. So there are multiple reasons, and I'm sure, but I think that at the end of the day, the crime is the major reason. And one of my buddies jumps in and is like, "Are you sure?" Blah, blah, blah. I'm like, dude, oh my God, come on.
Well, what would the other reason be?
And someone said that it was price gouging, which I have no idea
where that comes from.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, this guy that does that, he's a hate follower, and he's just a complete idiot. Okay.
Let me put it this way:
complete idiot. If you're watching, you're such a moron.
I worked in a grocery store back in 2014 when this whole, the $950 or less is not, They were telling us, like, don't even bother calling the cops at that point. People just started walking out with shopping carts, and it's just like, what are we going to do?
Yeah.
Cops aren't even going to show up.
Yeah.
What's the point?
And it's too dangerous for you to do anything.
Exactly, because if I did anything, what if I get shot? What if I get
or you do something happens to them and you go to jail, right?
And then I lose my job on top of all of it.
So the liability is just too much. It's not worth it. And so businesses are just like, all right, well, if we're not going to have the basic protections from the state that we're paying for, up yours.
Yeah. So the Netflix star told the crowd that he was dining at an Indian restaurant in the city's Tenderloin district and recalled that a homeless person defecated in front of the establishment just as Chappelle was walking in. Well, that will sour anyone's opinion on a place, right?
I am no longer hungry.
He said that San Francisco has devolved into half Glee and half zombie movie, which is an amazing comparison.
Yeah.
When you really think about it, that's an amazing comparison. Like, I'm picturing like a zombie walking next to Zuckerberg, and they're walking next to each other down the street with like reinforced shoes to prevent the needles from going into their feet.
So, I mean, we can meme on it and stuff, but I mean, from what I hear, it's not welcoming. It's not a place that you want to go, but because he says, you get stabbed or whatever,
He says the entire city has become the Tenderloin district now, which is not good, which is notorious for crime, homelessness, and drug problems. Do you guys think that any of this is kind of attached to? There's this YouTube channel, and I wish I could shout them out right now because, and I can't remember the name of the channel off the top of my head, but it's this channel that it documents homelessness and shares a lot of stories of people who are homeless living on the streets, and does so in a way that's very, very respectful, and it's there to tell their stories. It's called like The Unseen or something like that.
Have they also interviewed like workers on the street?
No, I mean it is done in a way that's clearly it's not showing you the ones that are being unbelievably disruptive or rude to people. It's not showing
just like
you that
candid conversation.
Yes, with people that are going through that, and a lot of the conversations they're having are obviously in California, because homelessness there is obviously it's more ideal than a lot of other places because of the weather. Climate wise, it's where a lot of them end up going, right? Yeah. But now there's also like this pushback where even Dave Chappelle, if he was to go out and call them homeless in a bit, he would be called insensitive because he wouldn't use terms like the unhomed.
Yeah.
Like
the unhoused.
Yeah. You're not allowed to. You're not allowed to say any of that. Somebody said homophobic. That was amazing. Yes, that's
brilliant.
Yeah, but it's like there's all of this. It's all of these weird types of causes that have become weirdly political. This and landlords are the ones that I always laugh about. Because they kind of go hand in hand.
I get what you're saying, but this is not a surprise once you acknowledge the fact that the influence on the left is literal communism. Yeah. It's no longer left liberalism
which is what a Chappelle would be.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It is straight up, we don't like landlords. That's a communist perspective. Straight up. You shouldn't, if you own a building with multiple rooms, you should be forced to give those rooms to homeless people so they can defecate in the rooms in the building you own. That kind of stuff is, we want to take your property. It's not like they say that it's about the homeless people, but what it's about is the
abolishing
fact that you own property. Yeah. So that's straight up communism. It's not, the communists and the left now, like nowadays, they're not in any way shy about the fact that they're communists anymore. There was just one of the directors for AOC's, her campaign just came out and admitted that she's a communist. She left the Democratic Party and she went to the
Communist.
Communist Party.
Was it the Communist, or was it
it might have been like a faction of the Communist Party in New York.
It the Dem Socs, the Democratic Socialists?
Possibly.
Yeah, the DSA is communist. They say we follow the immortal science of Marx. Like, it is straight up communism, and that is every bit as bad as Nazis. They are every bit as authoritarian, and they will kill you for thinking the wrong thing. That's what communists do. Historically, that's what they've done. So,
but just think about the golden age that we were living in the early 2000s and the late 90s, where someone like Chappelle was the bastion of our culture, who could bring you ideas that were very much part of liberal dogma, but was done so in a way that everyone could laugh about. Like, I've tried to explain to other, like, I don't know if me and Mary have had this discussion, but I said, like, there used to be a time when memes weren't a thing. You just shouted Dave Chappelle quotes at one another from across the room. That was a thing. Yeah. Like, purify yourself in the waters of Lake Minnetonka. I'm from Minnesota. Everyone said that to everyone else all the time, right? Yep. Rick James had a whole second thing because of the culture that the liberal attitude was able to bring us at that time period, and it's gone now. Yeah, it breaks my heart because I watch media that comes out now, and I just think, like, we could have had it so good, guys. Yeah. We could, but you went and fucked it up.
And none of this, they call these ideas progressive, and they are as regressive as it gets. Yeah. They will destroy your society. If you don't have private property rights, if you don't have police that enforce property rights, you get San Francisco. Yeah. You get people stealing stuff. And if people are going to steal stuff all the time, you get businesses closing, and then San Francisco turns into Detroit. Yep. Detroit has been a mess for 30 years.
I mean, I've been telling people this story, like in Minnesota, like in Uptown, there was a rash of not just the crime that was happening in North Minneapolis in the cities, but in Uptown, there was graffiti going up on every business, right? Mm-hmm. And they were charging, they're like, look, you have 7 days you have 7 days to clear this up, to clean up the graffiti. If you don't, the city's going to do it, and then we're going to charge you for what we did. And I'm like, you voted for this. Like, you did this. This is your responsibility.
But yes, you're right. But the problem is there are too many people that vote for things that could never be delivered because they believe and because they want to believe that they can be. Yes. They want to believe that they can, that the things that they're voting for can be delivered. Yes. There's a $20 one.
$20.
Game blouses from Artera's Double Aught. Game blouses. Okay.
In reference to?
I don't know.
It's an in-joke, and we're not in on the joke. I guess. I just think it's one of those things where Chappelle was such a good indicator of where we were as a culture at a time when things were clearly more cohesive than they are now. Far more cohesive.
Yeah, if you asked the average person in 2002 if racism was a big problem in the United States, black and white, Asian, doesn't matter. Most people were like, no. Not really, no, because we kind of were all like, no, we're cool with each other, right? And then 2010 comes around, and everyone's got a cell phone in the pocket, and BuzzFeed and all these, these media things are just shoving all this racial
God, it's
garbage.
From the Chappelle show. Frick, I forgot.
What?
Oh,
I don't remember it.
I think we broke bread.
I guess so.
It's one of those days, dude. There are times where, like, we'll get references, like where somebody will point something out to me, and I'll watch it later, and then I will not even be able to believe that I missed what they were talking about in those. Okay, you guys win today. That one's on me. Also, I want to point out for Chappelle, this is one of these things where he says that you guys need Batman. So they kind of do. San Francisco does kind of need.
They do well.
Does need Batman.
Yeah, look at the guy in the subway in New York. Don't be Batman. They'll just throw you in jail.
Yeah.
That's the problem. Is like the DAs aren't like they have all the laws they need.
Yeah.
It is already illegal to steal.
Yep.
It's that the DA doesn't want to prosecute.
Yep.
Like all of their problems could be solved if they got a DA that said, okay, we're actually going to follow the law. But you had, from 2020, you had all these people that had the ACAB sentiment. If you hate the cops, and the cops basically are like, well, I'm going to retire and take my pension now, and I'm not going to stick around. The good cops are like, see ya. Like, you're going to end up with cops that don't care, bad cops, fewer cops, and that means more crime, blah, blah, blah. Like, all these things are very predictable. And
I do think phones. I don't think it's just the BuzzFeeds in the who else would you say? BuzzFeed, Vice, all of these places. I think a lot of it is also that, like, in a lot of ways, it's been democratized in a way now that, like, look, yeah, BuzzFeed can write those articles, but people share a lot of humor now, and I don't think this is just black and white. I think this is men and women too. That men and women. Men used to have conversation with other men that was not distinctly supposed to be heard by the opposite sex. And
Yes.
women did the same thing.
Yes.
And it was a way of sort of, it was a pressure valve for the problems you had in a relationship or the issues you had with the opposite sex. And now that same thing happens, not just between men and women, but between different races, where humor that was meant for the in-group is now shared with everyone. And even if it's not meant to be offensive or rude in a truly abhorrent sense, right? Meaning, like, sure, it's a joke, but everybody has to learn how to take a joke, right? That joke might be said differently if they were in the company of someone of another race, or it might have been held off as like, look, maybe I don't make this joke in front of that person. Now we share that with everyone. We don't just put them out within our in-groups or anything like that. And that's the thing. A lot of times this humor is now shared with everyone when it wasn't necessarily meant to be.
Sure.
People don't get it because they're not there. They don't know that person personally. Do you understand what I'm saying? So
I understand what you're saying, and I don't think that I don't think you're wrong.
Yeah.
I think the conditions are that you're describing are probably true. So I mean, yeah, I don't find any significant problem with it. The people that have an issue with things that they hear are going to find an issue, regardless, because these same people that are woke right now, right, what they're doing, it doesn't matter like that it's woke, right? If the dominant kind of the dominant narrative was still a Christian narrative, and that was what people were pushing from like positions of authority, then you would have those same people freaking out because someone blasphemed.
Yeah.
Like this same motivation that you find in the woke people, like people that are super woke and blah, 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 that is just the religious motivation. It's tribal motivation. And if it were that the normative perspective was the same that it was 30 years ago, and you introduced a technology like the cell phone, then you would have that normative perspective still going around, and you would have, it would be blasphemers or whatever. And that you can see that because that kind of thing happens in Islamic countries now. They have the technology, but it's not woke stuff that's going around. I mean, there's some, I'm sure, but it's not that. It's mostly Islamic culture that's being shared. And they have the virtue police in some countries and that kind of stuff. But I think that it's probably more because of people.
You know how we heal the culture? We bring Dave Chappelle back for Half Baked. And look.
I like that. That's a good
weed
idea.
humor encourages everyone.
Yeah.
Like everyone can laugh at that. Like even people that don't smoke weed. Well, like I was never a pothead, but I could laugh at the humor. I got the humor.
Ben Shapiro won't laugh at it.
Well, he should. He should, right? He should. All I'm saying is that there was a time when that type of humor was, like Harold and Kumar. Everyone can laugh at that.
We got a $20 from Artie's Double Aught. Again, the street hoop skit is also a classic, as well as the wrap it up box.
Have you seen the one where they get reparations?
Probably, but I haven't watched it in a long time.
I wonder if we could do maybe that's what I would do for I've been considering doing like watch parties, like in my free time. like as like bonus content for the show.
That's
and like maybe
great.
maybe Chappelle show watch parties would be something.
You should just watch all kinds of like old old funny stuff.
We're not watching new stuff. That's for damn sure.
Blazing Saddles.
Yes.
Oh my God, I love that movie.
Of course you do. You have a sense of humor.
My dad. I
hilarious.
was raised properly. Okay.
Good.
Yeah. All right. How do you think they fix Cal? Do they put Chappelle in charge? Is that how they fix California?
I have well, I mean, there's like the real answer, which is like DAs, district attorneys, and enforcing the law.
Yeah.
But then there's like the other answers, like San Andreas Fault could fix it.
Does anybody else? Okay, I know you guys haven't been following this as close as me. Given everything that you've said about activist district attorneys who aren't doing anything, I still have to wonder why the hell they're going forward with the charges on Jonathan Majors, given the fact that that's how New York is not any different. New York is in many ways the exact same.
So the DA in New York is exactly like you said. He's he's a politically motivated, has an agenda. Hopefully the people of New York, when it actually goes to trial, will let this poor man go.
Assuming there isn't evidence we haven't seen.
Well, assuming there isn't evidence. I find it unlikely because the whole, if I understand correctly, the whole like train car was like, dude, thanks, bro. This guy smelled bad, and I'm sure he was gonna pee right in my lap,
Oh no, I'm not talking about who you're talking. I'm talking about the actor. The actor who's going to. I was bringing back to pop culture. There's an actor who's being tried for charges of basically that he like abused his girlfriend when there's no evidence of it.
Did you see the new Creed? Creed 3?
No.
Dude is jacked. Dude is freaking enormous.
Yeah.
But like his girlfriend basically, like, there's no proof that he did anything, but they keep pushing forward with the charges. Yeah. And now they're saying that 2 other ex-girlfriends have come forward. But what do those claims matter if there's no physical evidence to it, right? Like, and I just can't figure out how in a city like New York, which is choosing not to prosecute all the time on various crimes, what would make them go after an actor who's part of the elite class there, right? He's an up-and-coming Hollywood star. Some people are claiming racism, that it could be because of the race of the actor. I don't know if I buy that, but it is weird that they've seemed to develop
What color is the actor?
He's black.
He's a black guy?
Yeah.
So conspiracy theory, maybe they're doing it to push forward the narrative in the first place.
Maybe, I don't know. But we'll see. Thanks for watching. Listen to full episodes of Pop Culture Crisis on Spotify.
Keep up with us on social media and make sure you subscribe and ring that bell so you never miss the show. Bye, guys.